So first of all, the question is, what do you mean by generics? Generics were introduced in Java 5. Before that, generics were not there. So generics were introduced at Java 5 for the help of generic programmings, or also called as general programmings. What do you mean by a general programming? The first question is, what do you mean by a general programming? Create a package for generics, and then let me have a class where my class name will be app. Okay, before that, let me edit all my configurations. Okay, now let me create a main class. Okay, now the question is, whenever we are declaring a element, we simply say int, and we say x y z something. But what if there is a condition where I don't know what kind of a type it is? At that time, what do I need to do? That is the question. If I know that my x is an integer type, then I'll give int x, or I'll say string y, right? But what if I don't know the type, but also I want to write everything, but I want to run my program? At that time, what do I need to do? That is the question. To solve this kind of a problem, we introduced something called as generics. For that, we'll take up a class and we'll say data. In this data, there is a private variable, and I don't know what kind of data type it is. So I'll say that it is a object type. I don't know what type it is. I'm simply saying that it is an object type. For this object, I'll generate my constructor and also my getter method, also my toString method. Till now, there is nothing of rocket science over here. I'm just creating an object of, I'm just creating a variable x of type object. Okay, because I don't know what type that is. So if I know what type that is, I'll replace that object with my string or integer or whatever type that is. But now here I don't know what type that is. So here I'm creating an object of data which is equal to new data. Okay, now here my constructor is expecting a variable of type object. So of type object, I don't know which type it is. So here I'm giving an object of type string. Okay, if you see over here, it is not giving me any errors because object can be anything. So if I try to print this out, and let me print it, how do I print my variable? So I'll say data dot get x. See, there are no errors over here, right? I'm running, I'm getting my answer. So instead of Monish over here, if I put a number and if I run it also, it will not give me any error, right? But for getting, this is okay. Getting means nothing but I'm returning some variable, I'm returning the value of that variable, and then I'm reusing it. But here I'm printing it, so it doesn't care. So I know that my 7 is an integer type, so I'll try to save my answer in some other variable, and I'll call that variable as int var. Int var is equal to data dot getx. If you see over here, now it is giving me a error. It is telling me it is of object type. You have declared it as an integer type. So before, when we used the print statement, we were not having any kind of an error over there, but now we are having the error. So to solve these kind of things, we normally do something called as casting. We typecast it. We are casting this type from object to integer. Understood what we are doing right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the problem over here is I am only having one variable. Imagine the case if I am having 100 of elements. Okay, do you sit and typecast for each and every value? That is basically not a proper practice. To solve these kind of things, what we did is we introduced the generics. Okay, so the general data type which will be having only a single value. Okay, we'll be having only a single function. Assume that I'm having a class over here. Let's call this class as Tata. Tata is having a type T. Okay, here in generics, our type will be represented by the variable or the keyword capital T. Okay, and then it is represented inside the diamond braces. Inside the diamond braces, we normally give the type, and I am telling that my class is of type T. I don't care which it is. It is of simply a type T. Got it? So
Yes,
now
sir.
I'll declare a variable called private T and let my variable be X. So here it is not an object. Okay, it is a type. I don't know which type, but it is a type. Now here I am simply declaring my constructor, getter, and also my toString. Done. I got my constructor, I got my getter, and I got my toString. Now I want to do the same operation over here. Whatever operation I did over here, I want to do the same thing. So let me do that. So how do I do it? I create an object for my data. Okay, that will be data, which is equal to new data, and it is expecting something, so I'll say it as Monish. Now if you see here, there is a warning, and that warning is basically a raw type. It is telling that generics is a raw type. So to take off that answer, that warning, I can run this, it is not a problem. So if I simply run it, it will not give me any errors. So if I say tata dot get x, and if I run this, it will not give me any error. Okay, but there is a warning. The warning is it is of a raw type. So I must tell my variable, my class, what kind of a type am I sending over here. So this is way different with typecasting. Okay, because in typecasting we can cast every element. Okay, but here it is not like that. I am telling that the whole class, it is of type T. Okay, so it is of type, I am telling it as type Tata, but it is not the appropriate one. If I give it as a string over here. Okay, now if I simply generify this, now if you see over here, I am not getting any errors. So this keyword and this keyword, if you have seen in our previous linked list, whenever we are trying to have an object for our linked list with the help of our generic type string, we give a diamond operator over here. This diamond operator is telling that it is not a raw type. Whatever type of string we are giving over here, the same string type we are taking over here. Even if you write a string type over here, it is not having any issues. Okay, instead of that, it is not a practice to write that, so I'll simply cancel this. Now even if I run this, now if you see over here, we are not having any errors. Understood what is generics?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you might get a doubt, what is the difference over here? Instead of string, if I use a integer, okay, and here if I cancel this and put a 6, I can use a integer type. Okay, I'm not doing any casting over here. I'm telling that This complete object only will take only integer types. Okay, that is part 1. Just a minute, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, are you people there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so let's go to the next part. So here we are having a generic type of data, right? So let us create a some other class where that class is consisting of different elements, different items. So if that is the case, can I pass everything into a single variable? That is the question right now. If you didn't understand anything what I said just now, it is okay. Let's create a class and see. Okay, let me take up a new class. In this class, I'll say the class name is yes. This yes is having our main method. In this main method, we'll come to that main method later. For now, what I'll do is I'll create a class called student. Okay, this student is of type T. I don't know which type that this student is. In this, we'll have a private string type name, private int type age, private let's say double type CGPA. We have three elements over here of three different types. Okay, and I am telling to generate a constructor with the help of everything, generate a getter method with everything, and also generate a toString method with all the possible things. Okay, let me go back here. Now here I want to create a list of students, okay, of type student. Okay, understand this. Okay, I am creating a list of students of type student. Okay, this student is having a generic type, means it is not constrained to whether it is a string or an integer type or a float type or a double type. No, it is a generic type. Okay, I am creating a list of student where this list is basically of type student. It can be consisting of all these elements. Okay, this list I am naming it as list, which is equal to new, and I am telling this as a linked list. Okay, so I'm creating a linked list over here. What is a linked list and all, we have already covered everything in our previous session, so you can verify that. So in this, first of all, let me create an object for my student. I'm having a student where I'm creating a student type which is equal to, so instead of student I'll take it as Monish. Okay, new student, and first thing is name, age, and CGPA. Okay, I've created a student of name Monish, and these are the variables properties. Okay, now we know how to add data, so we'll simply add Monish over here. Okay, now I have added Monish into this list, and just imagine here in this list we are having all the things. We are having a string type, we are having an integer type, and we are also having a double type. Okay, but here we are just specifying it as student type because this student class is a generic class. Understood? This student class
Yes.
is a generic class. It will take all. It doesn't care whether it is an integer or whether it is what. It will take basically everything. And here when I try to, I'll just add some more details. Okay, so let me create some other students. So let us say student Nitin, which is equal to new student, name is Nitin, age is age
21.
91, and CGPA, let us assume that he is getting a 7.0 CGPA. Let's go to Pujita, new student, name is Pujita, age is 24, and let's get a CGPA of 7.5. Okay, now let me add this list dot add. Let me add Nitin, let me add Pujita. Now everything is done. Now let me simply use a for each loop to print out what is the type. Now here the question is, what is the type? Is it a string type or a integer type or a double type?
The
What is the
student.
type? Exactly, it is of student type, and let me call it as an element from the list. Now I'll simply print out element. Now if I print my element, if you see over here, okay, let me run this class. If you see over here, we are getting all. Even if it is a string, integer, double, it doesn't care. That is the benefit of generics. Understood?
Yes, sir.
The
Yes,
main
sir.
reason of using generics is this. We can have a generic programming. Means inside a class, whatever we are declaring, everything can be accessed by the main class just by specifying the list is of student type, where the student type is a generic class where it is having all the other variables. Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This kind of a programming is called as a generic programming, and the method which you have seen over here is called as generic classes. Okay. Are we clear till this point?
Clear, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
So now let's create another class. I'll say this class as em, and em will be having the main method. Okay. So assume over here, let us create a method where our method will be a public method of type t. Okay. Can I create a method like this? Is it possible to create a method like this? My question is that. Tell me guys, is it possible?
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir.
I'm getting two different answers over here, that is yes or no. So you people tell me, what is it? And before going to whatever that is, once let me open up Chrome and see types of generics. I don't want all this. Let's go to our official document. Yep. Now here we are having some types. These are the types. First, we have already used T, which will be our type. Okay. We are having some more, which are E, K, N, and V. So here E will be our element, K will be our key, N will be of number type, and V will be of value type. Okay, these are the main and commonly used types of generics. We have already used our type, right? Okay, now let's try to use our element. So what are elements? Basically our elements means elements come inside a list, or elements comes inside a array, right? So let's say I'm creating a new class where this class we will call as Bata. Okay, I don't want to specify any generics in the class. I want to directly go to element type over here. Okay, and it is returning a void, and then I'm calling this method as print list. Okay, this method is basically will print a list, and here it is taking a list. Okay, and this can be of any type. For now it will be of type E, and it is taking a list. I'm writing a method, so nothing to worry about it. So here I am using a for loop, where my for loop is basically having of type E. Okay, it is having a element from the list, and I am simply printing out the element. Got it? Same thing. Instead of a list, let us say array, and here let me say it as array. Instead of list, let it be array. Got it? We are creating simply two different methods. So here, first of all, let me create a list of type whatever type you need. Let us create a type of integer. Let it call it as a list, which is equal to new. Let this be a linked list. Got it? List dot add some variable. List dot add something will create. Yep. Then after this, what I want to do is I want to call my print list method. So now the question is, how do I call my print list method? Bata, bata, which is equal to new bata, bata dot print. It's not an array, it's a list, and I'm passing the list, and then simply I'm running my em class. Did I get my output? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now what I'll do is same thing. I'll not do any changes. The only thing I change is I'm creating another list over here of type string. Okay, I'll call this as list name, which is equal to new. This is also of type linked list. Okay, now let me add some data in it. Linked list dot add of type Monish, and then let me copy this, paste it again, and here let's say Pujita, paste, Nathan, paste, and here let's say Hemalata. Now I'll simply say bata dot list, and I am passing out list of names, and then I'm running it again. Yep, if you see over here, we are getting the outputs, right? So the point over here is very simple. Whether the list contains all integers, or whether the list contains all strings, or whether the list contains of any type, it doesn't care, because our print list is of element type. Okay, this element type can be an integer, can be a string, it doesn't care, it will simply give you the output. So let me create a array of type strings array, and I'll call this as names, which is equal to, let me create some names over here. Okay, semicolon over here, and then let me call upon my bata array method print array, and this is taking the array of names. It is giving me an error now. Why it is giving me an error? Now this is the very interesting question over here. Why it is giving me an error? Any options over here? Can you tell me why? It is an array of type strings. So what is the problem? When this worked properly, why is this not working properly? Very simple, because here I have given list. I'll remove this and I'll make it E of type array. Now if you see over here, there is no error. I'll simply run this. You got your output?
Yes, sir.
Okay, even if I create a new list of type integer, and I will say it as nums, which is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma so and so, and then if I say bata dot array nums, and if I run this, okay, compile error.
We are missing semicolons.
Yeah, now if you see, we are getting everything. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Understood the generic methods, generic classes, general generics, and generic types?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope you are clear with our generics.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Let me cancel all this. Let us go to one of the most boring topic, sets. Okay, first of all, what are the properties of sets? One, it is unordered. Two, it doesn't take duplicates. These are the two properties of sets. Okay, it is unordered and it will never take duplicates. So first of all, let me edit my configurations, remove all this. Okay, now inside this, let me create a new class. Let this class name be app, and this app is having the main method, and here I am creating a set. Okay, set is equal to new. Now here having some types. What are the types? In sets, mainly we are having three types. Type 1 hash set, type 2 linked hash set, and type 3 is tree set. Okay, hash set internally executes with the help of hash table. Okay, linked hash set internally executes with the help of linked set and linked. Okay, and then tree set is nothing but a sorting algorithm. If you use tree set, everything will automatically get sorted in with the help of tree set. Okay, internally it is using the comparable compare method. Okay, it is using the comparable interface. We have already gone through what is comparable interface in our previous session, so just check it once. So it is internally having a compare method. Understood? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
first we'll execute our hash set. Okay, so hash set dot add 4. Okay, it is starting to give me an error. What is that error? It is telling it is of raw type. Okay, set always takes with the help of generics. You need to give what kind of a data you are
Yeah.
passing. Okay, you are passing an integer type, and then you need to set up the generic type over here. Then let us say add 5. Let me copy this. Paste, 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 paste. So 4 is already given. 2, 8, 3. I'll give 5. I'll give 4. Okay. So don't worry about the warnings. Let's go to for loop. Let's say it is of type integer. Let's say it is an element from this set. I don't want to do anything. I want to just print my element. Now if I run this, you can see some awesome things over here. One, I gave 4, but the first element is 2. I gave 2 4s, there is only 1 4. I gave 2 5s, but there is only 1 5. Means there is no order. It didn't print in my order. Why, that's number one. There is no duplicates. Even if you give duplicates, it will not take duplicates. It will automatically cancel everything. Understood? This is the main property of the set.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you need to understand something over here. Hash set is something which takes unordered. Okay, when you change this hash set to linked hash set, and if you run the same thing, it follows the insertion order. Okay, first you entered 4. If you see over here, you are having 4. Next you are entered 5. 5 283 283, but it will not take duplicates. Okay, linked hash set will give your output in the form of insertion. Whatever order of insertion you are given, it will give only in that form. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now if I change the same thing to tree set, and if I run the same thing, now you can see that order will be sorted 2 3 4 5 8. Understood?
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
is the
sir.
three, that is the difference. I hope you understood these three things. Okay, these are the types of sets. Got it? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, as we already said, this sort tree set is sorting, right? It is sorting with the help of a internal method which is called as compare. Okay. This is a comparator. We'll come to that in a second. Basically, this is having an interface called as comparable. Inside this comparable interface, if you just go to the comparable interface, you will be having a method called compare to. Okay, the basic structure of our tree set is to use this compare to method and sort it. In our yesterday's class, we have already seen how do we override our compare to method, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have already seen how do we overwrite our compare to method according to our changes. Okay. Now to make it more interesting, let us take a class of some student. Let us take a student class which is having a type k comma v, means it is having a key and value. Okay. Now let me create a private k variable. I'll call it as key, and also I'll private v variable which is called as value. Okay, let me create a constructor with all these values, and also a getter. I created the getter only for key. Let me create a getter for v also, and also let us generate a toString method for all these values. Okay, let me minimize this, go back over here, and before I do anything over here, let me remove. Okay, here I am having two values where I'll simply pass my student for now. Okay, and this is basically having some very stupid thing. It is telling that what it is telling, it is telling you can't compare two values. So let us set some values first. Set dot add a student. This student is having a key, and this student is having a value n. Okay, I can't directly add like this. If you know this already, I need to create an object for my student, and inside that I must have this. Okay, it is telling me it is a raw type. Okay, it is asking me to generify this. I am generifying this. Okay, see, inside student there are two things. Okay, a string type and a string type. Okay, understand this for now. You be commented, my dear. Okay, understand this. Inside student there is another two values, two generics of k and v type. I am telling those two types are string and string, but the problem over here is it is a non-comparable elements. Why it is a non-comparable elements? Take down this as a note. It is very good, important one. What is the difference between a comparable and a non-comparable? So first of all, what is comparable? comparable only takes one element. Okay, comparable only takes one element. How many elements do we have over here?
2 elements.
String and string, we are having two elements. In case if you are having two elements, the best thing to use is a comparator. Okay, comparator is also a interface which can sort two elements. Okay, so for that what we do is we take the help of our comparator. Okay, our comparator is of type what and what, we will see it in a minute. So first of all, let us create an object for this comparator, which is equal to new comparator. Now if you see over here, it is automatically giving me a compare method. We are overriding the compare method over here. And another small thing, let us make this key as integer. Let us make this key as integer. I know that this will give me an error, so let us say set.add new student key is 1 and the value is also 1. Okay, copy, paste, paste, paste. So this is a set, and first of all let us make it crazy set. Let us make this as 6. Let us make this as 3, and let us make this as 10. Okay, now here first let us add a semicolon so that there are no compile errors right now. Yep, there are no compile errors. Okay, so now we are having object 1, object 2, where our object 1 is an integer type key, where our object 2 is a string type value. There is no need to be a value, there is no need to compare like that. There are two objects over here. Okay, let us first specify what these things are. First of all, this is a student type, right? A student of type integer, comma, string. Done. All our errors are gone. We are having some compile time errors. No need to worry about that. Okay. This as integer. Taking two values. If the first value be k and the second value be y, the comparator is taking student, then also it is giving me error. Okay, let me make this like this. Okay, let me clear all this. So I'm passing a student for comparison, and this student is also having integer, comma, string. Now new. Yep. Okay, now we are having an object 1 and object 2. Now let me end it with a semicolon, and here I want to sort it with the help of keys. Okay, so if object 1 dot get key is less than object 2 dot get key, then I am simply returning the -1. Else, if object 1 dot get key is greater than object 2 dot get key, then I am returning 1. If both are equal, I am returning 0. Let me format it, and the important part over here is I must pass the comparator object over here. Now if you see, there are no errors. Let me do this, and instead of this, let me change it to this. Now if I run my so-called whatever method is this is app, now you can see the sorting is happening with the help of key 1 3 6 10. Our order was 1 6 3 10. Understood anything?
Yes, sir.
Others have doubts? Ask now itself.
No, sir.
Better to ask now itself. No doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. See the program for a second. If you have any doubt anywhere, just ask me. Here the comparison is happening with the help of key, right? Let us write another comparator. Okay. I'll take this comparator as comparator name. Okay. And I want to sort it with the help of value dot length. I'm sorting with the help of length now. Okay, let me copy this line, paste it over here. Let me change the symbol, and instead of comparator, let me pass the comparator name. Now if I run this, if you see now, the values are coming with the help of 1 and 3. Now tell me, why are the other values not printing 6 and 10? Anyone can tell me why the other values are not printing? The reason the other values are not printing is 1 is having how many? What is the length of 1? What is the length of 1? String length. The string length
3.
of 1 is 3. Okay, this is a set. 6 is also having the same length 3, and 10 is also having the same length 3. So this is considering, the set is considering as a duplicate. So it is not even comparing this, it is simply telling it is a duplicate element and it is removing. Instead of 6, if I change this to 4, and if I make this as 4, and here instead of 10, if I make this as 11, sorry, 11, and if I run the same thing, now you can see that the sorting is happening with the help of 1 4 3 11. I'll put this as 14, and if I run this just for variation, now you can see that it is not taking with the help of key, it is taking with the help of values, because I am passing the comparator name and I am overriding the compare method completely. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Till now I hope everyone are clear.
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is about our custom sorting with comparator. We have completed our generics, we have completed our sets, set types. What are our set types? Hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Okay, those are the types. And custom sorting with our comparator operator, just remember this, what is the difference between a comparable and a comparator? Both are functional interfaces only, but the difference over here is comparable will take access of only one element, but comparator can take access of two elements or two objects. Okay, so what do you mean by a cube generally?
First in, first out.
Generally,
Q means
Cube is a
line.
Q is a line. Okay, we stand in a line, whoever comes first will get served first. Assume that you are standing in a line for a KFC or a pizza or whatever it is in a restaurant. Okay, so whoever comes first will get served first. Here this is also the same thing, first in and first out. Okay, here Q is also the same as our general queue. We'll create a package for Q. Let me create a class called app. Before that, let me remove this app. Okay, let me create my main method, and here let me create a queue of type. What is the type? Let me say the type is integer, and I am calling this queue as queue, which is equal to new, and you are having some types. What are the types over here? First one is array queue, array blocking queue. Array blocking queue means it will take the help of arrays. Linked blocking queue, it will take the help of linked list. Okay, next one is your priority queue. Priority queue is the same as our tree set. Priority queue is our a replicate of a tree set, means it will sort. Okay, it will sort based on our priority. Understood?
Yes,
Come
sir.
on guys, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those are the major three types of queues. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now let us create a queue of type array. Array blocking queue. So what is a array blocking queue? When we are talking about, so let me wait a second. Let me create a linked blocking queue first, then we'll go to an array. So here we are having a linked blocking. So let us create a queue dot add of type integer. So for queue, okay, let me copy this instead of doing all this. Copy, paste, paste, paste. So instead of 4, 5, instead of, okay, now I am having a queue. So I am adding some queues over here. After that, I am using my for loop to basically print it. It is of type integer. It is an element, and it is from my queue. So printing it out, element. Now run app. Am I having any changes? No changes. Even it is accepting the duplicate values. Okay. Queue is almost same as any list or anything. There are only few things to be noted. Okay, so whatever what did you add first? You added 4, right? Now after this for loop, when I say q dot remove, and then if I copy this again and paste it over here, let me add a queue separator, and if I run this, the first element 4 will be removed because our queue will follow first in first out. First in was 4 and the first out also will be 4. When you are standing in a line, Whoever goes first will take the order and he will go out, right? The same thing will happen in this queue also. This is about linked blocking queue. Now let's go to one of my favorite, array blocking queue. When you are giving a array blocking queue, always remember you must declare the size of the array, and you must declare it here itself. And if I run this, no changes, everything is good. Only thing is I'm already having 5 elements. What if I try to add another element? Q dot add 7. Now if I run this, what is happening? I'm getting a error. What type of an error? Illegal state exception error. Okay, and it is telling me it is a queue is full. Basically we'll get a error. So what we do is we'll handle this error. Okay, for me in IntelliJ, it is, we are having a shortcut Control Alt T, where it will give me what all should I surround it with. So this is an error. I'm handling an error with my try and catch block. I'm handling it with an illegal state exception E, and instead of tracing it back, I'm simply telling it queue is full. Okay, I hope we have already gone through the try and catch block and all. You know how to handle our exceptions. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now when I run this, you can see that you will get the exception handled information. The queue is full, and you will obviously not get the last element 7 again. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that is how basically we use exception handling in our real time. Okay, now let us try to remove from the queue before adding anything. I am not adding anything over here. Without adding, I am trying to remove. It is giving me an error, and the error is no such element exception. Okay, so here also I don't want any errors, so I'll handle it. I'll handle it like this. Okay, Alt Enter, import class. Importing is done, and now instead of this, I'll say queue is empty, and I'll run. Now if you see over here, first it is telling me that the queue is empty. It is not throwing me any error because I handled this error. After that, I am telling the queue is full. I am printing the queue till the size of the array is 5. So the first 5 elements are printed. After that, whatever error it is getting over here, it is simply telling the queue is full. We handled that exception in a very nice way. After that, we are removing our first element, and it is done. This is our queue. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll simply open up our notes and we'll write one statement over here for queue. I don't want to leave it like this. Queue follows what? FIFO. First in
First in, first
and
out.
first out. The next topic is DQ. Any idea what is DQ? DQ means double-ended list, or double-ended queue to be more precise. So here we are having a queue which is can enter in both ways, both ends. It is having two ends, first and last. Okay, it is also called as head and tail. The first part is called as the head part, the last part is called as the tail part. Okay, normally this is very famous in India because we never follow queue system. We always follow DQ system. What is the difference? The person who is standing at the first and standing at the last will be having both same priority. అవునా కదా?
Yes, sir.
మనకి ఇండియాలో అయితే డిక్యూఏ కదా, ఫస్ట్లో
Yes.
నిలబడుకున్నా లాస్ట్లో నిలబడుకున్నా పెద్ద తేడా ఏం లేదు. ఫస్ట్లో నిలబడుకున్నోడికి ఏం కావాలన్నా దొరుకుతుంది, లాస్ట్లో నిలబడుకున్నోడికి ఏం కావాలన్నా దొరుకుతుంది. అంతేనా?
Yes, sir.
So basically we are going to implement our DQ over right now. Okay, so let me create a package. Let me say it as DQ. Create a class. Let me call this class as a demo class. This demo class is having a public method. Let me start creating a DQ of integer type. For now let me call this as a queue and let me say as new. Okay, here also we are having some types, link and array DQ. If you know queue, all the same properties are applicable here also. Let me simply copy this and then paste it over here. Let me use a refractor and rename everything as DQ. Okay, so adding is done. Good. Now let me also copy the for loop also instead of writing everything. For loop copied. Let us write DQ over here. Let me run this. We are getting our output.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
let me try something else. Okay, instead of doing it over here, let me do it over here. Let me say DQ dot add first, let that be 12. Okay, and let me add last, let that be 100, and then let me add up my for loop. Now if I run this, you can see over here I added. Okay, let me put a separator. It is too much confusing. Separator added, rerun it. Okay, now this was our original DQ and this is our new DQ where I added my first element as 12 and my last element as 100. So this is basically not possible in any of the previous collections which we have seen. Okay, this is how it is possible, and we can basically not only add, we can remove also with the help of first and last methods. Okay, these are our DQ. This is our Q and DQ. Understood? All the topics from today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.